Good afternoon and welcome back to RMU Live for Monday, February 19th, 2018. I'm Reagan Check.
And I'm Logan Carney. Here's what's happening now.
A 17-year-old boy from Somerset County was arrested Sunday after threatening to shoot up a school. Officials have not released his name. State police say that they received numerous calls from families who heard about the possible threat.
More than 60 Pittsburgh firefighters responded to a fire in a warehouse on Sunday. The fire at Appliance Warehouse in the 500 block of Bingham Street broke out just before 7 p.m. Luckily, though, no one was inside when the fire started. People were inside the escape room next door, but they all managed to get out safely. There were no reported injuries.
In Shenango Township, a man posed as a water company employee to gain access to the resident's home. Police reported that the man claimed that he needed to check pressure in the home and showed identification to the homeowner. The man left after he heard another person was returning home. Police state that this is a common tactic used to distract the homeowner while another person sneaks in and steals their property. The man has yet to be found.
A man found shot in McKees Rocks Friday night has died. 20-year-old Andre Lee died at Allegheny General Hospital about 45 minutes after he was shot. Lee was found with gunshot wounds on Ellis Street around 6:15 p.m. The incident is still under investigation.
Around 2 p.m., there was a home invasion by 3 armed men in ski masks in West Cunningham home. Homeowner Bruce Cornetti had headphones in and was listening to music and was caught by surprise when one of the men held him at gunpoint while the others ransacked his home. Cornetti did not get a good look at the men due to the ski masks. Butler police are still investigating.
A fire in Carrick has left a woman and 2 young children in critical condition early Sunday morning. The officers arrived at the home in the 2,200 block of Westmont Avenue around 4:30 a.m. to find 3 people trapped inside of a house that was on fire. They are all still in critical condition.
23-year-old James Blackburn was killed Sunday morning after getting into a car crash. Police state that a car was pulling out of the gas station when an SUV hit it on the border of Larimer and Homewood. Blackburn was thrown from the vehicle and then killed.
Touching story out of McKeesport, where a woman battling her 3rd round of cancer married the man she first met when they were children. The wedding was between Liz and James Garish and was put together by Jamie's Dream Team in December and got help with 27 vendors. They were married at the same playground that they met at.
Survivors of the Florida high school shooting are now stepping up and organizing a nationwide march for gun control next month.
On every level, people are dying every day.
Cameron Caskey states, quote, "This is us begging for our lives," unquote. The students claim that they want to talk with political leaders on this issue. The march is said to take place March 24th and will be held in major cities. And Republicans are now calling for stronger background checks for gun buyers following the Florida high school shooting. There is a bill that Senate has yet to act on that provides financial incentives to states and federal agencies to work harder to comply with law requiring them to report criminal and mental health records to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System. The bill is being pushed by the National Rifle Association and would expand Americans' rights to carry concealed weapons.
For the best coverage of Robert Morris and around the Pittsburgh area, be sure to check out RMU-CentryMedia.com. Coming up, we have a story that will knock your socks off.
And a carnival cruise may seem luxurious until a brawl breaks out. All this and more coming up next.
Did you know parking over tall, dry grass can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow.
No.
Snow-covered trees.
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones.
Don't even.
And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
Maine Police Department posted on their Facebook that, quote, "This will knock your socks off," unquote. The police state that a 45-year-old man from Ohio stole a pair of socks from a Family Dollar. After a brief chase, he was caught, and police found that he was a convicted bank robber that had spent years in prison. He had violated his parole, and there was a warrant out for his arrest.
Carnival Cruise Line is investigating an incident that occurred on a 10-day cruise in the South Pacific after a video surfaced of a large brawl.
They were just roaming the decks, just looking to pick on like any Aussie they could find.
And other passengers are blaming a large family that seemed intent on provoking conflicts by spitting in the pool, screaming in the smoking area, and fighting with passengers and staff. Carnival gave passengers that made it through the cruise a 25% off coupon for their next cruise.
A plane made an emergency landing on Highway 101 in Morgan Hill on Sunday, leaving motorists surprised. Officials say that the plane had an engine failure and that there was no injuries reported or damage to the plane. The pilot was the only person on the flight at the time.
A 14-year-old boy from Edgemont Elementary was charged after making a kill list. Here's reporter Madison Keevy with more.
Most people were scared, most people were shocked, most people really just didn't care. The most of us, out of all, was just so shocked that something like this could happen.
Alex Romines is an 8th grader at Edgemont Elementary School. And today, his classmate was criminally charged for making a so-called kill list.
It all just happened like all of a sudden and everything. Not a lot of people talk to him, only a couple people ever talk to him. He's a pretty good kid once you get to know him.
A tip from a concerned parent whose child actually saw threatening posts on social media allowed the sheriff's office to work quickly. When asked, we're told the 14-year-old voluntarily showed deputies the list, but says he only wanted to scare the classmates that were bullying him. He says he was a victim, something Romines already knew.
I wouldn't think I would see him reacting that way. I thought I would just see him reacting like telling a teacher or something like that.
No one was hurt. But parents with kids in the Cocke County School District say this hits too close to home and too soon after Wednesday's mass school shooting in Florida.
The issue is not kids taking guns to school. The issue is what's making the kids take the guns to school, and that, in this case, is bullying.
Armando Fontes is the Cocke County Sheriff. He says the kill list showed motive to actually commit a shooting. He says the teen had access to a gun that was left unlocked in his mother's bedroom.
They don't need to brush it off as, well, I thought it was just joking around. We actually had a statement today where a student said that. It's not joking around.
Fontes says the student charged is getting mental health treatment, and the students involved in any bullying have been spoken to by school officials. For Good Morning Tennessee, Madison Keevy, WATE 6 on your side.
The teen was charged with disorderly conduct and harassment, is now on house arrest. And, you know, Reagan, this is the type of stories that you never really like to report about. And with the recent school shooting, you know, this type of stuff is probably on everybody's minds. And we're glad that, you know, they could, you know, arrest the kid before anything serious happens.
Yeah, now we're definitely seeing it more. And I think people right now are more aware because of the recent shooting. And the fact that they reported it is good. It's a step in the right direction. The body of pregnant Kara Blevins, 27, was found Saturday in Cass County, Minnesota. Blevins was reported missing earlier this month and was last seen in Akeley area. Her body was located in the Chippewa National Forest in rural Akeley. The circumstances surrounding her death remain under investigation.
The suspect in the murder of Casey McKinney was found dead in an apparent suicide on Sunday. Bradley Thomas Wass of Riverside, California, was found dead at around 7:15 a.m. on Sunday at the Indian Hills Golf Club in Mira Loma. He is also accused of shooting at Casey's boyfriend and 4-year-old son. Those two both escaped after jumping out a 2-story window and luckily have no injuries.
You may have seen this viral video of Marcella Grushelak and her horse Buns going through the Wendy's drive-thru. We got a chance to meet the two on Wednesday here on campus. Here's Gage Golding with more.
Marcella Grushelak and Buns took social media by storm whenever they went through a Fox Chapel Wendy's drive-thru to get Buns a little frosty treat. But now she's here on campus at Robert Morris University and students loved it. Marcella and her horse Buns became overnight sensations whenever she posted a video of her riding her horse through the Wendy's drive-thru in Fox Chapel.
I have a bucket list where I have multiple things that I want to do with my horses, and on our way home I was like, Buns was really good. I want to go through the drive-thru, and so let's mark it off my bucket list, get Buns a treat, and Shelly was completely up for it, so we did it. I thought that, you know, it was just going to be another video of me goofing off on my horses. One person actually came out and approached me and pet him, but otherwise they acted like it was an everyday thing. They took my order like it was no big deal, handed me the Frosty.
The original video that was posted on January 20th has garnered over 100,000 views and has been featured on different news sites such as Fox News in the United States as well as Daily Mail in the United Kingdom. Marcella said that going through the Wendy's drive-thru was only the start of her bucket list with Buns, the 3-year-old former racing horse from Lexington, Kentucky.
People want to see the Steelers get on them. They want to see the Pirates get on them. They want to see, you know, the Pens get on them. So, I mean, it's added to the bucket list. We'll see where it goes now.
Although Marcella does enjoy riding Buns and knocking crazy things off her bucket list, that's not her full-time job. She works at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center in Pittsburgh, saving lives.
So I work at UPMC St. Margaret's. I'm a vascular access specialist, so I place IVs, midlines, PICCs, and I'm a certified nurse, so I went and did an extra certification to become a specialist, more so like an expert in IV and vascular therapy.
Students walking to class on Valentine's Day were surprised to see a horse casually strolling through campus and immediately started pulling out their phones to take Snapchats as well as going up to the horse to pet it.
I have horses. I've grown up on a farm my whole life, so being at school, it's really weird like not being around them. So I saw in class the horse like cantering around this main lawn, so I came down to see it because I miss mine so much.
First reaction is that I don't know, I just love animals so much that to me it was so exciting to see something new and something like so big and substantial. It just made me so happy. I mean, a lot of people don't see animals like this as like a therapy pet and only see like westernized like dogs and cats as therapy pets, but I honestly disagree. This animal probably has way more heart than like your cat or dog. So
now the video featuring Buns going through the Wendy's drive-thru went around the world. He played in the UK, Good Morning America, even on Fox, but more importantly right here at Robert Morris University. Reporting outside of the Nicholson Center, Gage Golding, RMU Century Media.
Grushelak said that she has a bucket list and Robert Morris helped her check another accomplishment off of it. Now Logan, this is really unique and I hope that she gets the chance to complete her bucket list.
I can't wait for the more updates on what her bucket list entails. But now we have authorities are still looking for Uber and Lyft driver 29-year-old Joshua Theed, who went missing in Los Angeles. He was last seen on Sunday, February 11th at 11:30 a.m. in the 1000 block of Wilshire Boulevard in the downtown area. His mother, Janet Theed, claims his cell phone placed a call to 911 on Monday, February 12th, although that was not confirmed with authorities. Anyone with information should call police at 213-996-1800. Coming up, a former aide to Donald Trump's presidential campaign is pleading guilty to charges.
And a woman accused of shooting a driver after they cut her off. All this and more coming up next.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool. Oh, yeah. Ah, yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Smokey! Only you can prevent wildfires.
Richard Gates will plead guilty to fraud-related charges and agree to testify against Paul Manafort, who was a lawyer-lobbyist who also once managed the campaign. Gates pleaded not guilty in October after being indicted on charges similar to Manafort's.
A mother was sent to jail over a baptism for her daughter. Glenn Counts has more on the story.
The power of faith has caused some believers to surrender their lives and their freedom. Kendra Stocks is caught up in what some might call the modern-day version of that.
It's just very sad. It's all just a very sad situation.
We had the only camera at the jail as this mother of two turned herself in.
I'll get through it and hopefully come out a better person because of it. And strong women reign.
Stocks is in jail because she violated a judge's order that gave the father, Paul Schaff, primary decision-making control over their 2-year-old daughter, including matters of religion. The day after the judge issued that order, Stocks went out and had their daughter baptized. Schaff wasn't told and found out about the ceremony on Facebook. He cried foul, and Judge Sean Smith agreed, finding Stocks in contempt. Stocks was supported by a couple of friends and her mother. They shared an emotional embrace before she was processed.
How do you feel about that decision now?
Her father and I both agreed on baptizing her. I regret that he wasn't part of it, but I don't regret that we're raising her in the Catholic faith, which we both wanted.
After their goodbyes, Stocks was searched by a female deputy and handcuffed just like a common criminal. Her mother cried as she walked out of the jail.
She's a wonderful, they play all the time. She teaches them things. She's an incredible, loving mother.
Reagan, I'm sure you'll agree with me that we all hope that, that situation ends up, figuring itself out. But now we're going to move on to another story in which a woman bragged on Facebook about shooting a driver who cut her off in Massachusetts this past weekend. 20-year-old Graciela Paulino was nabbed in Lowell on Thursday for killing 34-year-old construction worker Mark DeVoe. DeVoe was coming back from his lunch break with his friend Brian Daigle, who noticed that Paulino was following them. When they pulled over, DeVoe was shot and killed. A friend of his family set up a GoFundMe page to raise money for the funeral expenses.
Cornell Bidding was arrested after he shot and killed a 4-year-old girl. Here's reporter Ann Domek with more.
May her soul rest in peace.
A makeshift memorial of balloons and stuffed animals rests in front of this home on Mercer Avenue in Akron, where a 4-year-old girl was shot and killed Friday night.
I got a 4-year-old son. I couldn't imagine what the mom is going through. I just wanted to drop by and pay my respects to the family as well as the 4-year-old. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine.
People like Tika Graham were moved to pay respects to the little girl on Saturday, hours before 31-year-old Darnell Bidding was arrested and charged for the crime.
Turn yourself in. Get a family justice. I don't know. It's sad. It's speechless. I really don't know what to say.
The suspect was arrested with the help of Akron police and U.S. Marshals late Saturday afternoon. Authorities located Bidding here on Corley Street in Akron after a relative's car full of weapons, body armor, even a hand grenade were found. U.S. Marshals tell Fox 8 the discovery aided in tracking down the suspect. Bidding had been at large since the shooting death of the 4-year-old on Friday. It happened after Akron police said that there was an altercation between the victim's mother and Bidding. The woman told authorities she had been breaking out windows in the home to retrieve some property, and that's when the suspect allegedly came out of the home with a rifle and shot once at her vehicle.
Just a tragedy, a 4-year-old getting hit by bullets.
4 children and their grandmother were inside of that Dodge Avenger at the time. Police say the grandmother drove to Akron Children's Hospital, where the 4-year-old died. The tragedy brought people from all over the city of Akron together in her name.
Just paying my respect. I don't know the family, I didn't know the baby, but just here to pay respect.
Officials say that Bidding has a long criminal history, and his most recent conviction was for heroin trafficking in December of 2015. Although under a horrible circumstance, I think that it's really nice that the community has come together to support the family with their loss.
Now, 66 people are feared dead after an airplane crash on Sunday in Iran. A spokesman for Azman Airlines initially told state television that everyone aboard the ATR-72 had been killed. They then released a statement saying that they haven't been at the crash site and can't confirm the dead. There are still no updates on what caused the crash.
14 people have been confirmed dead after a helicopter crash that followed a powerful earthquake in southern Mexico Friday. On board the helicopter was Mexican Interior Minister Alfonso Navarrete Prida and Oaxaca's Governor Alejandro Murat, who were out surveying the damage the earthquake had done. The pilot had lost control and crashed into an open field where residents of a nearby town had been staying, fearing the aftershocks of the collapse of their home.
5 women have been killed in a shooting in a church in Russia's Republic of Dagestan this past weekend. 5 others, including a police officer and a National Guardsman, were injured. 2 are said to be in critical condition. ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack, but has provided no evidence to support that claim.
2 17-year-olds were killed Saturday night in Israeli airstrikes and tank strikes across Gaza. And strikes were carried out in response to an explosive device that detonated on the Gaza border and injured 4 soldiers. Officials state it was not clear who was responsible for the bombing. And a father and daughter were killed in an avalanche in the French Alps. Officials say the father and daughter were skiing on a run that was closed due to the avalanche risk. And 2 people were injured by an avalanche in Switzerland near the border of France. It was reported that 10 people were buried in the avalanche.
A drug used to euthanize animals has been found in canned dog food, prompting a recall. Low levels of the drug pentobarbital were detected in cans of gravy-trained dog food produced by the J.M. Smucker Company, the FDA said in a statement Friday.
She couldn't figure it out because of her chemicals. Things were all over the place. And she said possibly she might have been poisoned.
Or to euthanize animals. The low levels found were unlikely to pose a health risk to pets.
Be sure to tune in to our other TV shows, RMU-Live Mondays at 1 p.m. and Fridays at noon, Sports Talk in the Berg, and RMU Tonight Wednesdays at 5 p.m. and Colonial Sports Center Thursday at 9:30 p.m. here on RMU-TV. Coming up next, Tyler Schlendorn in our Weather Center.
And Mike Shuley in our Sports Center with the latest on the Penguins and more coming up.
Did you know parking over tall, dry grass can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow?
No.
Snow-covered trees.
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones.
Don't even.
And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Michael Shuley, and welcome to the Weekend Sports Roundup. The Penguins played 2 games this weekend and were able to pick up wins in both of those games. The first of the 2 games was Saturday night against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Penguins edged the Leafs by a score of 5-3. Leading the charge for the Pens was Evgeny Malkin and Brian Rust, who each recorded a goal and 2 assists. Then last night, the Penguins traveled to Columbus, Ohio to take on the Blue Jackets. The Penguins would then go on to defeat Columbus 5-2. Jake Gensel had 3 points and Riley Sheehan had 2 goals of his own to help seal the victory for the Pens. The Penguins now sit atop the Metropolitan Division with 74 points. As for RMU sports, it was another tough weekend for the men's basketball team after they added another L to the loss column, as the Colonials fell 65-58 on Friday night to Central Connecticut. One bright spot for the Colonials continues to be Deshaun Burke, who led the team with 24 points in the loss. The Colonials will be back in action Thursday night away at Mount St. Mary's. The game will tip off at 7 o'clock as RMU tries to turn things around with 2 games left before any NEC tournament play starts. And now, luckily for men's basketball, the men's hockey team had an even more difficult weekend as the men's hockey team lost 2 games against the Mercyhurst Lakers. After these 2 games, RMU has now lost 4 in a row and has tumbled down the table. With a handful of teams nipping at the heels of the Colonials, they will need to turn things around this weekend as Air Force will come to town for 2 games. And as you can see here, Robert Morris sits in 6th place in the American Hockey or Atlantic Hockey Conference. They were just in 3rd place a couple of weeks ago. Mercyhurst, of course, at the top of the board. And one bright spot for RMU athletics this weekend was the women's basketball team, as they were able to beat Fairleigh Dickinson 62-48. Leading the way, or 49 rather, leading the way for the Colonials was freshman Honoka Ikematsu, who scored 12 points and added 3 assists as she shot 50% from 3-point land. And as you can see with this win here, in a St. Francis loss to Sacred Heart, the Colonials have moved back atop in a tie for 1st place in the NEC. They will be back in action again tonight against Sacred Heart. Now let's send it over to Tyler Slendorn for a look at the weather.
Thanks, Mike. And now we're going to move on to the 5-day weather forecast. Okay, thanks, Mike. Now we're going to move on to the 5-day forecast. This week's going to be a very wet one, and it's going to be not as hot as it's going to be today and tomorrow. It's going to be very miserable and cold. Now we're going to put it back to the desk.
And that's all we have for RMU Live.
We will see you next week.